What don't you understand, Snake? I want to thank, I know a lot of you came a long ways. Can you hear me? A lot of you came a long ways to see this special day for this individual, to celebrate, like you said. And I want to thank you for that. To see the people in this room, the turnout, thank you. He was very important to so many of us. I'm usually a comedy act, and I kind of explained this is really hard for me, as it is for so many. But a true story, we'd go to breakfast with Tom, Steve Cole, and a number of us, and I'd come in. I'm just reading this off the cuff. I didn't know I was coming up, okay? And I'm a bullshitter, but there's some truth in everything I say. And I was all depressed, and he said to me, Forrest, don't come to lunch like this without coming with stories, and let's entertain each other and we'd have fun. And I learned so much from this guy. He was a great teacher. But when we were talking, I said, I don't do weddings, I don't do funerals. And I told Steve Cole this. Tom said to me, Steve was there, Tom said, if you beat me to the gates first, please don't do mine. Because he knows I'm not good at all at certain types of functions. And he actually said that a number of times at breakfast. He'd say, remember that, Forrest, because he was really my teacher. And he'd say, don't come to my deal and talk and bring everybody down. And of course, he figured I was going to go first. And the last call that I had with him, he actually thought I might go that day or the next day. So it's been kind of a rough year. But I want to say, Don, we've had our you and I have had our ups and downs, and you always come across a certain way. But I know how much you loved him. And I know how much he loved you. His boys, his daughter, we never talked a lot about things, always racing. I learned so much today. I want to thank you, whoever, Mrs. Perdome. That video was so educational to me. I knew horses, but I didn't know to that extent. His children, I didn't know to that extent. It really was important to me to see that. I want to thank you, to you and your group, all of you Lynn Rose, all of you that put it together. He said to me one day, I was at the track in Wally, and he was always serious. Wally Parks he said he was going to teach me. He loved Gene Beaver, my uncle that taught me racing. And he said, I'll teach you racing. And I got a call that Wally Parks wanted to talk to me. And so the first thing I said was, what do I talk about? And I said, I got to remember that the cars are the stars. That was Wally's mindset. Love Wally, don't get me wrong. And McEwen said, with one exception, Perdome. And he was serious. They were all stars. Raymond Beadle, they were all my heroes. And we're losing so many. I'm going to quit here. But the first lesson, when McEwen said he'd help me, we went to Orange County. I'd never won a race. In the final round, he came over to me and he said, Forrest, my car's broke. You got to go up there to get your money, or you know donor won't pay you. And I think donor still owes me money. Don't get me started on you, donor. I remember when, no, I ain't gonna get going. I remember when Ed the Ace McCullough chased you up the staircase and I was trying to get to you, and you pointed at Ace and you said, you know what? It's assholes just like that kid Force around there. And you pointed around at me. That's how you lived your life. And I love you too. What the hell was I talking about? McEwen said, I'm broke. I'm just gonna go up there. And I remember I ran around the pits and I was telling everybody I won this race. That was like something. These guys were gods. I know that sounds stupid, but they were gods to me, and so many. And I remember going out, I said, I'm gonna do a big old burnout, and I did a big old Chi-Town, and I'm backing up thinking I'm probably gonna run out of gas, and here goes McEwen doing a burnout past me. We pulled up, we staged, I'm like, I thought he was broke. I got to about 300 feet, you were there, donor, it exploded. I was on fire, and I ran over to McEwen at the other end. You said you were broke. And he said, first lesson, kid. Never trust a drag racer. One night at Mattel, Jay Leno was on the stage working. I was in the audience. And Jay, I'd been on his show, he called me up on the stage. And I ran up and I did 30 minutes of, I think it's funny, but my wife doesn't. When I came off the stage, McEwen said, now let this be a lesson. Don't ever work a show for free. So what I'm gonna say is, this ain't funny, because I ain't working the show. God bless you.
Did you know the very first round of racing that John Force ever won, he beat Tom McEwen. 1979 Baton Rouge, first one that ever beat him. John Force, ladies and gentlemen.